Hey y'all, so this is the first part of my July wrap-up. So July was wild and terrible. I'm only in the first 2 weeks of it, but it was absolutely terrible. Just to give a little bit of background before I get into the books, we were getting new flooring in our dining room and living room, so all of our furniture has been just shoved everywhere. It's all over the house. My kitchen is completely just wall to wall full with my couches and boxes, the entertainment center, everything. So I couldn't even access the food in the kitchen. I couldn't get to anything. My desktop, I have a gaming computer system set up, and I have that, it was in the living room. So that was also taken down, so I didn't have any access on my computer to use it, which I wasn't too worried about. It was only supposed to be for 2 days. It was supposed to take them 2 days to finish this job. So the first day comes and we hit an issue, and I have to pay more money than what I had already paid for this job because an unforeseen issue arose. So I had to pay to get that done on top of everything else. The next day, which also having to add that, pushed back the job for a couple of days. So, they were still working on it, but the completion time was pushed back. So it was supposed to be done in 2 days, so now it's supposed to be done in 4. The second day, I dropped my phone and break it. So I was without a phone for about a week. It was between not having my computer and not having my phone, I was really struggling because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't respond to anything. I couldn't respond to any comments. I couldn't film anything. I couldn't chat on Discord to even let them know what was going on. So it was just a really rough time, and a lot of you know that my husband is going off for training for 3 months. And so on top of that, the job that was supposed to last for 2 was pushed into 4, and then it turned into, 5 days. It ended up taking 5 days. My husband had to leave the next day after that was finished, so I couldn't even get all of the furniture moved back into place and put up before he had to leave, which wasn't the goal, that wasn't the plan. And then on top of that, the installer, the contractor, he still couldn't finish my floor, so I've got about 4 stairs worth of floor to be completed because the company shorted me product. So I'm having to wait 2 weeks for the new product to arrive and then for him to come and actually legitimately finish the floors. So it was just wild. We were planning to get a couple of new furniture pieces. So my daughter and I took a trip to IKEA, and from where I live, the nearest IKEA is about 2 hours. So it is like a day trip, and we went down there. It was just myself and my daughter because my husband had already left, and that was crazy. My daughter and I have no upper body strength whatsoever, so we were just struggling to try to move these big, huge boxes. And at one point, this guy offered to help me and Layla get something onto our cart, I was so thankful for him trying to help me because it was just rough. I didn't think my daughter and I were going to be able to get the product, the shelf thing, onto our cart. It was just one thing after another. Then we get out to the car with this big, huge, heavy cart of all these things, and I realize I've lost my keys. They were supposed to be in my pocket. They're not in my pocket anymore. And so I had to go back, talk to the manager. Luckily, someone had already found them and turned them in for me. So whoever that was, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You saved my day, even though the rest of my day was still really terrible. But it wasn't because of you. We get that. We're struggling to get stuff in the car. I drop one of the boxes on my foot, and I legitimately thought I broke it. It was so painful that I immediately wanted to vomit, but people are around me and I'm trying not to scream and curse and cry because I'm in so much pain. And it was my driving foot, it was my right foot, so I still had to drive 2 hours home. And I legitimately thought I might have broken my foot. I had to sit there in the parking garage at IKEA for about 30 minutes. until I felt like I could possibly drive, because then I kind of started moving my toes and realized, okay, it's not broken, it's just really, really hurting. So it ended up just really bruising it good, so I got lucky. It just seems like, I say that these last 2 weeks have been absolutely terrible, and it's really nothing more than several inconveniences that just put together really stressed me to the max. So I'm sorry for the delay in videos, especially my Wheel of Time folks. I really didn't want to skip a week, especially that last video for the Eye of the World, but I had no way of filming. Getting a new phone was another issue in and of itself. So I was trying to file an insurance claim. They said that it would be another like 14 days before I could get a new phone, and especially with my husband leaving and going out of town, I couldn't wait 2 weeks to get a new phone. So I ended up having to buy a new phone, and it's just been struggling, been going through it. It is what it is. So I'm ready to put these 2 weeks behind me and talk about books, because that's all that's making me happy right now, pretty much. That and ice cream. So for the first 2 weeks of July, even though that I had a really rough time, I did manage to start and finish Alloy of Law, which is the first book in the second era of Mistborn, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to do a full review, but I really liked it. It's very short for Brandon Sanderson, at least from what I've read of his so far, and I thought it was good. As of right now, I still like Era 1 better, but I don't really have a problem with Era 2. It was very good. I liked it. Myself and my daughter, we always have an audiobook going, and we finished The Other Misses. I think she's wanting to do a video on it with me, so I'm not going to tell you anything about it or how we felt about it, because I'm really excited for her to want to maybe be on a video with me and let's talk about it together. So I think that's going to be a cool idea, and we'll be working on that. So stay tuned. The second audiobook that I finished, which I actually finished today, was Behind Her Eyes. That was interesting. I really liked it. I liked the twist. There was a certain aspect that I had already kind of guessed about halfway through. I just wasn't sure how she was going to bring that all in together, so it still was interesting, and the fact that I kind of guessed that didn't really bother me. And the only reason why I kind of guessed is because years ago I read a book that had a similar twist, and it terrified me to this day, and I'll go into that more in my review of Behind Her Eyes, but it was really good. So even though I had a very rough 2 weeks, all in all, pretty good reading-wise. So here's to hoping that the next couple of weeks are good. I started The Great Hunt. I'm only a couple of chapters into it. Super excited about that, because that was another thing I was really frustrated with, is I wanted to start The Great Hunt toward the end of June, and I couldn't read it because everything going on. I didn't feel like I could just fully focus on what I was reading, and I didn't want to skim it or miss things. I wanted to really be able to focus. So that's why I picked up Alloy of Law, because I knew that it was pretty straightforward, it was pretty quick, and all in all, it was a good choice. So I'm actually able to focus on The Great Hunt, and I'm hoping to finish it by the end of July. It's going to be rough to finish it by the end of July, but that is my goal. So I'll see you in the next clip, and we'll see if I made it. Hey y'all, I'm sure I look very different than I did in the first clip because I finally got my hair cut. I was able to donate 12 inches this year of my hair. So it's a lot shorter than what I'm used to, but it's nice to have the weight off, and now I can just grow it out again to donate in the next year and a half or so. But yeah, I donate my hair probably once a year. Sometimes it takes about a year and a half to get enough length that I want to donate, but it was finally time. So that's a little bit different. Okay, I'm gonna quickly jump in right here because I forgot to mention my new obsession, which is Carach Angren's new Frankenstein album. I can't remember how you pronounce the whole entire album name, but Carach Angren is my favorite artist of all time. I love all of their music, and they put out the new album. I have been obsessively listening to it. I'm gonna put a picture up and put their name down below, so if y'all want to check them out. Beautiful music, absolutely beautiful. I still like their Death Came Through a Phantom Ship album a little bit better. That's still my top favorite of theirs, but gosh, this album is still amazing, so check them out. I finished up the month. I know I told you guys everything that had kind of happened in the beginning of July, and I finished up the month a little strangely. I was able to finish 3 more audiobooks, which was Turn of the Key, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Bring Me Back. I'll make sure and put the pictures up, that way you can see the authors, because I can't think of them off the top of my head, and I'm sorry. But I did finish those on audio. I started Scribd. I'm in the free trial right now, so I'm reading a lot of thrillers and things because that's what I tend to read on audio. Fantasy is just a little difficult for me to read on audio, especially if it's the first time. If it's a reread, it's not so bad, but for the first time reading a book, fantasy is so hard for me to try to do. So for my audiobooks, you'll see a lot more thrillers and things like that, or just general fiction. Out of the 5 audiobooks that I listened to this month, only 1 was a romance, and that was something, I don't know why I decided to read it. I've heard a lot of good things about Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I kind of wanted something just lighthearted and different than what I had been reading, because this month was pretty rough for me, and I was reading a lot of thrillers, which are, you know, not exactly fun reads. They're just interesting and cool. So I decided to try Get a Life, Chloe Brown, since I haven't really read any romance, and it was surprisingly nice, lighthearted. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I'll probably go ahead and read the second one, but I'm not going to make a habit of reading romance. It's just not my preferred genre, but it was nice for a different change of pace. I know I talked about finishing The Alloy of Law. I did finish that and I liked it, but I wasn't able to finish another physical book this month. It's so disappointing because I wanted to finish The Great Hunt, but with everything that was going on, I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way through it. I'm still on track for my Wheel of Time Wednesday videos, but I am a bit behind in just reading the book in general, which is such a disappointment. I did, however, because I knew I was struggling this month to really read, instead of trying to read, I was going to read the second in Era 2 since it was short, but instead of trying to squeeze in another short book in July, I just decided to go ahead and start my August book club reads. I am reading Needful Things with Knickknacks Corner. We're all reading this over on the Discord channel, so feel free to join us. So far, I'm about a quarter of the way through it already, and I really enjoy it. I also started Trader's Blade, which is what I'm reading with Mike's book reviews on his Discord. I'm not that far into this, maybe 100 pages, and I really like it as well. The humor is great. It reminds me of Ryeria Revelations with the humor. The writing style is very different, however, but I'm really enjoying the levity along with the seriousness of the story. So it's a great middle ground for me. It's also pretty short, so that's really good. But I also do plan on continuing with the quartet along with Mike's book reviews. But like I said, I was just worried about finishing these, especially because Needful Things is well over 800 pages. So I was worried about finishing them in the month of August for the book clubs. So I just decided to go ahead and get a head start. So I read 6 books total this month, even though I feel like I was a complete failure. 5 of those were audiobooks, and 1 was a physical. So that it's really strange because it's the most books I've read. I think I read 6 in one of the earlier months, but normally I only get 3 or 4 books, and the fact that I read 6 was quite startling. And then another thing that was really startling is I read 5 audiobooks. Normally I only read 1 or 2, and then I read 1 or 2 physical. So it's just a strange month. I will say that these audiobooks, because they're thrillers, they do tend to be on the shorter side. So maybe that has something to do with it. They're just a bit shorter, so I could read more of them. But anyway, that is my July. You kind of get a preview of what I'm going to be reading in August. I've got several other thrillers that I want to try to squeeze in on Scribd. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll keep you updated, but I'm just ready for this month to be over. I'm so done with July. I want August to be 10 times better, and I hope it's better for all of y'all. Y'all take care. Bye.